really not much of this transom. It's got water paint on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
then-
think, I mean, ideally in the water would be right there. Efficient.
And just below the top of the second plank,
Mm-hmm.
which actually would maybe put it right about there. It's a little high though.
I think it's still high. Like based on the curve, I think it's.
Yeah. There's a deeper keel on this though, I think. Yeah, it's looking like there.
Yeah, I think it should be somewhere close to the top of that bronze. Or,
Yeah. Oh, that would be nice and neat, wouldn't it?
yeah.
If it were. So, if the water line's parallel to the bottom of the keel, then there's where the top of the bronze gets you.
Yeah.
You were thinking,
So we want to go 3 inches or something different from where we are now.
not the, there's one low down, but there's another one like kind of.
Yes. Yeah. And those are drawn.
Oh, on the
Perfectly straight parallel to the keel, which is kind of unlikely.
right. Now they give you that dimension too. That's nice. Well, that shows some drag, doesn't it?
Yes.
Whatever. But look at, well, yeah. It wouldn't show up in the water lines because it's not parallel to the water lines.
Right.
So, all right, today we're trying to anyway strike a water line on this Irish Seine boat. So this boat here is an anomaly for this shop in that it is a Carvel planked, smooth planked boat in a round bottom, which is a deviation from what we normally would do, which is, you know, flat bottom skiffs and dories. One thing that we're finding as a boat shop, I know, and I'm always cognizant of things that make me sound old, but when I was a kid in the 80s, a young kid, there were all kinds of guys around who had small shops, were doing wooden boat stuff in their barns, things like that, and a lot of those guys have aged out and aren't around anymore. And so if you look at between the South Shore and Maine, there aren't many places you can go for a wooden boat in this neck of the woods. So this is actually a local customer from Boston, and he has a small island in Ireland, and he has been using a traditional Irish seine boat that he purchased over there, an old fishing boat, as like a back and forth little ferry, and loves it because it's heavily built, it's wide, stable, and for him, he can stand on the rail and the boat doesn't turn over. So we built this basically as a replica of that, and he had the lines taken off of that particular boat by a naval architect maybe 15 or 20 years ago, and has sought to have, I think he investigated a cold molded version and some other things, but has finally landed on this. And the other boat that he has is iron sick and it's getting tired, so this is the replacement for that. So we're working from some fairly incomplete plans and some photos, and the client's actually over in Ireland now, and he's supposedly sending me some measurements for this water line. But we're trying to go, it's a tough thing. This being a new boat, it's going to be lighter than the existing boat because that's sort of old, soggy, and it's collected weight over the years, as many of us do. And so even if we put the water line on this in the exact same place, it's going to show more, at least initially, until the boat takes up water and starts to sink down a little bit. And so we are going from sort of an average of the water line from the plan, which again is at this point antiquated, and the water line that we see in the photos, and then the scum line on the water line that we can see in the photos. And so trying to take all that information and compile it into something that makes sense without actually having to physically put this in the water. This process is pretty much like this for I would say for all boats. In the case of a bigger boat, like a bigger keel sailboat or something, you can take that water line directly from the plan, and that's, the designed water line is just that, and that the boat sits on its water line is somewhat crucial in that respect. And so oftentimes when you launch a new boat, it won't sit on its water line. You have to shift ballast and move things around so that it does eventually sit on the water line. In the case of a small boat like this, you don't have ballast, usually it's human ballast or anything like that. And so, what we're trying to do here is get as close as we can get. Normally, like in the case of a bigger keel boat, you would scribe that water line because that's actually where the boat wants to sit. Here, we're trying to guess where the boat's going to sit. And so I would not scribe this in case it's not correct, because you don't want to, you don't want to pen in a date on the calendar if that date's going to change. And in this case, this might change depending upon how the boat sits. And it might eventually get to this water line, and we're just trying to do the best we can. From the bottom of the skeg to the water line is 12 inches. And from the top of the bow to the water is 24 inches.
That helps us less.
The top of the starboard corner of the transom to the water. Starboard corner is 17.5. That also doesn't help us. Also, I think the keel on that what do you have?
17 3/4.
That's pretty good.
Pretty close.
And then
What did he say on the skeg? How did you measure?
12 inches from the bottom of the skeg to the water line, but I think our keel is a little smaller. It's not as proud as his.
Oh, we're right there. We're at 12 and a 12 and a half or 12 3/4, something like that.
Oh God, from the top of the bow. Does that mean the planking? Because if that's the case, it's spot on here too. So, I don't know. I think,
Definitely in the range.
yeah. Shooting from the hip, I think we're probably there.
Yeah.
Now we just have to do this on the other side.
Oh, the floor is nice and level, so it'll be easy to just walk over there and set this down.
Yeah.
Definitely not a working Sit in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, but